I hate you. I should have never married you. You awful, hideous, stupid man. You have the IQ of a chicken.
Oh yeah? Well, you're the ugliest woman I ever dated. I only married you because you were pregnant with my child.
Well, fine, maybe we should just get a divorce then.
That's the best idea you've had since our wedding day.
These two nutcases are my parents. They've been arguing like this since the day I was born. And somehow, they stayed together for a pretty long time. And they even had 2 other kids. My little sisters, Andrea and Janie. But this time, it was final. They'd always threatened each other about divorcing in the past, but this time they were serious. My dad packed his bags and left that night. The papers were signed by the next week, and the week after that, our family split up forever. Before I continue my family drama, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell too. You're the best. The judge made a weird decision. I was going to live with my dad, but my younger sisters would stay with my mom. My dad decided he wanted to live as far away from my mom as possible, so we moved from Texas all the way to Michigan. I was fine with that because that's where I wanted to go to college, but I knew I'd miss my sisters and my mom dreadfully. On our first night in our new house in Michigan, my dad started behaving all weird.
Coral, I really hope you like it here, but there's something I need to tell you, and please don't get mad.
What is it?
Well,
Yes? You sorta what, Dad? Spit it out.
I have a girlfriend. Her name is Erin.
Okay.
She lives in this state. That's why we moved here.
What?
Yes, and she's moving in with us next week.
What?
Yes, she's really nice. You'll love her.
You mean you were cheating on Mom this whole time?
Yeah, but can you blame me? Your mom is horrible.
I rolled my eyes and went up to my room. The next day, my dad asked me if I wanted to go shopping, like he was trying to buy my forgiveness or something. The nerve. But I was okay with that. He said I could use his credit card to buy whatever I wanted. Before leaving, I took one last look at myself in the mirror and decided I needed a makeover. I'd always been the nerdy type. I wore huge glasses and the only clothes in my wardrobe were hoodies and sweatpants. But hey, I was in a new state now, so I was about to change my life. I was going to go to a new school next week, and I wanted to look hot. At the mall, I bought loads of trendy clothes. When I tried them on in the changing rooms, I almost couldn't recognize myself. Time to stop hiding all this goodness from the world, I thought. Then I went to a hair salon and I dyed my hair red. I also went to a makeup store and bought almost everything. By the time I got to my room and unpacked it all, I felt like a dragon hoarding treasure in a cave. I took a while, but I learned how to do my makeup, and it really helped that my dad's new girlfriend Erin was great at it too. She was much younger looking than my mom was. I was afraid to ask for her age, so I didn't. At least my dad was happy. Anyway, that's how I bonded with my new stepmom, through makeup. So you can probably guess how my first day at my new school went. Instead of feeling like the invisible nobody, a feeling I was used to from my last school, everyone wanted to be my friend. It was a bit sad to think that this was only happening because they thought I was pretty, but whatever. I was ready to settle into my new life of popularity. When I sat down in my first class, a bunch of people came to sit next to me and they started conversations like they'd known me for years. I never thought it'd be so easy to make friends. 3 girls who looked like they were probably the most popular in my class asked me if I'd join them at lunch later. I was so happy. Then it got even better because in the middle of my lunch with them, the hottest guy I'd ever seen joined us and started talking to me.
What's your name, new girl?
It's Coral.
What a beautiful name. Welcome to our school. Do you want to go out with me this weekend? I could take you to my favorite spot.
Sure, I said, while trying not to blush my face off. He left the table and the girls stared at me.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe he asked you out and he just met you. I am so jealous, but I'm happy for you, girl. That's Chris. He's the richest guy at our school.
Really?
Yeah, and like 3 weeks ago, he broke up with his supermodel girlfriend, Gina. She doesn't go to our school, but he didn't seem pretty sad about it at all.
Oh.
And now he asked you out. If you start going to his house, please invite us over one day. We heard it's the size of a mega mall.
I thought this must be the best possible way for someone's first day of school to go. When I got home, I felt like I was in a dream. Did I already have friends? Did I already, almost, have a rich, hot boyfriend? The rest of the week was just as awesome. When I wasn't with my new friends, I was with Chris who wanted to hang out whenever we had a break from classes. Then on Saturday, I spent the whole day getting ready for our date at 6 o'clock. I wanted to make sure that I looked perfect. I even forgot to eat breakfast and lunch. At exactly 6, a huge expensive car pulled up in my driveway.
Wow, you look so pretty.
Aaron squealed as I walked down the stairs.
Looks like somebody hit the jackpot.
My dad laughed while opening the front door so I could leave. I ran outside and he came to open the car door for me like a perfect gentleman.
Hi, Carl.
He blushed. Hi, Chris. We drove around for a while and Chris told me stories about the hockey team, his friends, all the things he loved, and some other things I don't quite remember. He spoke about himself a lot, but I was just so mesmerized by his cuteness and the expensive car that I didn't really care. We went to a scenic spot on a mountain, then we went back to the town and he bought us dinner. Boy, was I starving. I didn't care about being polite. You know how some girls try to give guys the first impression that they eat like birds? Well, not me. I ordered everything I felt like eating, and he paid for it all. It was just perfect. I guess Chris was happy with this first date because he continued asking me out. He'd always plan something special and romantic, and almost every time I saw him, he'd give me flowers or chocolate. I couldn't believe my luck. So after about a month, we became an item. Yes, your girl Coral was in a relationship. Her first relationship, too. And it was only after I felt like I was really in love that I started to notice a few things that weren't quite right. The first time he invited me to his huge house, he introduced me to his family, and they were all so nice to me. But then he left me sitting in the living room on my own. After about an hour, I texted him to ask where he was, and then I found out he was in his room playing video games. I sat next to him, then after a few more hours, it got darker outside.
Well, I think you should go home now.
Aren't you going to drive me home?
Can't you see I'm in the middle of something?
I couldn't believe it. I walked to the corner, then called my dad and asked him if he'd pick me up. I made up some lie about Chris's car having a problem.
But doesn't that rich boy's family have like 10 other cars?
Yeah, but everyone was busy, I guess. I was really upset. But the next day at school, he came and sat next to me and started talking like nothing had happened. And this was how it went all the time. He'd do something awful, then pretend it never happened. Sometimes he went days without saying anything to me, and when I asked him if he was upset, he'd say that I was overthinking or overreacting. Then he'd take me somewhere fancy to have dinner. So I tolerated it all, but things continued getting worse. One day, I was hurrying from science class to gym when I saw Chris and his friends staring at some girl.
She's hot. Yeah, much better than your girlfriend, Chris. I wonder if she'll go out with me. That's called cheating. It's only cheating if you don't get caught.
Chris! I screamed. His friends looked at me, laughed, and ran off.
What's up, babe?
I heard what you said.
We were just kidding, babe. You overthink too much, always overreacting about something stupid. Listen, I gotta go.
And he just walked off and left me standing there. The people around me started laughing and it was so humiliating. He didn't speak to me for about a week. He ignored all my texts and calls. Then one night he showed up at my house with flowers. He took me out to dinner, but that night I noticed something I hadn't noticed before because I was just blinded by how awesome I thought Chris was. A very nice waitress came up to us. She looked young and nervous like it was her first day on the job.
Welcome, y'all. How can I help you?
We just got here. Can't you give us a break?
I'm so sorry. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Get lost.
When Chris was finally ready to order, he nearly barked at the poor girl. Then he told her she was stupid and he wouldn't be leaving a tip. Before we left, I apologized to her so much, and I gave her my last $20 as a tip. As I walked out of the restaurant, I realized that this is how Chris treated many people. He was really an entitled rich boy who believed that everyone existed to serve him. Was it worth being in a relationship with someone like that? I began to have many doubts. What made my doubts worse was when my science teacher made me partner up with a guy called Brian. I'd always seen him around, but we'd never really spoken. He made so many corny science jokes that would have made an ordinary person cringe, but I found him so hilarious. At the end of class, we exchanged numbers and we texted all night. That was also one of the days Chris chose to ignore me, so I was happy that I had someone else to talk to now. I found out that Brian and I had many common interests. He wasn't rich like Chris, but he was definitely a better person. The next day, I was walking through the school hallway filled with my muddled thoughts about this all when Chris snuck up behind me, gave me a hug and a huge bouquet of flowers.
Did you remember that the school dance is tonight? We're still going together, right?
Yes, I said, lying. I completely forgot about that.
I'll pick you up at 7.
He said, then ran off to meet his friends. The other girls in the hallway looked at me with envy. I just wanted to shout at them. Like, yeah, I got flowers, but my boyfriend is still a jerk. At the dance that night, I looked stunning. Chris danced with me twice, then disappeared, so I was left standing all alone next to the punch when I got a text message from Brian. It said,
Hey Coral, I don't know how to say this to you, so maybe you should just listen for yourself. I'm waiting for you outside in case you want to leave the dance after hearing this.
Then he sent a voice note. At first it sounded like a bunch of guys arguing, then I heard Chris's voice clearly.
So, guys, I won the bet. I went out with Coral and I got her to become so dependent on me, she won't leave me even if I treat her like garbage. Now, all of you owe me $10. Pay up. I'm gonna break up with her tonight after the dance. Kinda tired of her right now, and I want to see other people, like that hot girl we were looking at the other day.
The other guys laughed and that was the end of the voice note. So that's all I was? A bet? I was so furious that I couldn't think clearly, so I went up to the stage and grabbed the microphone. Listen up, everyone. I know that you have all seen me dating Chris for a while, and so many of you girls are jealous because you think he's the rich, perfect boyfriend. Well, I'm here tonight to announce to all of you that he's a jerk. He has no respect for anyone and thinks he's better than everyone else just because his parents have some money. Tonight I found out that he only became my boyfriend because of a bet he had with his friends. This is the problem in the world today. The rich and powerful think that they can treat anyone else however they please. This stops today. And by the way, Chris, you jerk if you're listening, I'm breaking up with you now before you have a chance to do it to me. There was applause and everyone looked at Chris like they were so disappointed in him. I walked outside and met Brian, who took me home while making lots more cringy jokes on the way. Now, not one girl at our school wants to date Chris, and he's lost all bragging rights and respect. Serves him right. I hope he learns how to be kinder to people.
I wandered the streets alone, as I did every day. My life was pretty miserable. I was homeless and didn't have a penny to my name. The only clothes I owned were the ones I was wearing. I really couldn't imagine how things could get any worse. Then a car came around the corner and drove straight through a huge puddle on the side of the road. Water sprayed up and soaked me from head to toe. I stood there dripping wet, watching as the driver drove off, laughing. Well, if you think that is bad, wait until you find out what happens to me at the end of the story. I carried on walking. I had no choice. I had to get back to where I was going to sleep for the night. When I got there, I curled up under a piece of cardboard and tried to go to sleep. But it was impossible. My stomach was rumbling because I hadn't eaten all day, and I was shivering because of the wet clothes. I had never felt so sad in all of my life. That's when I decided I was going to do whatever it took to turn my life around. I didn't want to live on the streets a moment longer. The first thing I need to do is get a job. Once I have a job, then I'll be able to get a place to stay. I knew it wouldn't be easy to get a job, but I was determined. So when I heard that a local company was hiring people, I decided I would apply. I was so happy when I found out that I had got an interview, but then I realized I didn't have anything to wear. My heart sank. There was no way that they would give me a job if I turned up in my old scruffy clothes. One of the other girls that lived on the street saw that I was looking sad and came over to me.
What's up, Julie?
I've got an interview for a job.
What? That's fantastic news. So why are you looking so unhappy?
Because I don't have anything to wear. They'll never give me the job if I turn up looking like this.
Don't you worry about that. I have a clean suit that I keep for special occasions. You can borrow it.
Are you serious?
Of course.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God, you are a lifesaver. I was so nervous when I went for the interview. I was sweating and could hardly get my words out. So you can imagine how surprised I was when they told me I had got the job. Really? Are you serious?
Yes, we would like you to start on Monday. Is that okay?
Yes, definitely. See you on Monday. That was the day my life changed forever. I loved my new job and I worked really hard. It wasn't long before I had my first promotion. I worked my way up the ladder until eventually, after 5 years working there, they offered me the position of manager. I never forgot my time living on the streets, though. I was determined to never be in that situation again. Of course, with becoming a manager, I got a big pay raise, too. I remember picking up my first paycheck as a manager. I couldn't believe how many zeros there were. I've got all this money now. I think I deserve something nice. I'm going to treat myself to dinner in a fancy restaurant. I put on my best clothes and went to the restaurant in town. I spent ages reading through the menu, wondering what I should order. That's when I saw it. Melt-in-your-mouth steak covered in gold flakes. Wow, gold flakes! I have to try that. When the waiter brought my meal, I couldn't believe it. There were actually real gold flakes on top of the steak. I took a bite and savored the flavor. Oh my God, that is seriously the most delicious thing I've ever tasted. After that, I ordered gold flakes on every meal I ate. I couldn't get enough of the stuff. I ate it every single day on anything and everything. Some days I didn't even eat anything with the gold flakes. I just ate the gold. But soon I wasn't satisfied with just eating gold when I went out to a restaurant. I wanted it at home too. I found out about this luxury supermarket that sold only the most expensive foods. I felt sure that they would have gold flakes. Straight after work, I went there. Excuse me, do you sell gold flakes?
Yes, madam, we do. How much would you like?
I'll take all that you have, please.
Yes, of course. Thank you, madam.
As soon as I got home, I opened the gold flakes and began munching on them. I couldn't get enough of them. The following morning, I sprinkled them on the top of my breakfast. They tasted so good. Soon I was eating nothing but gold flakes. Of course I had to eat normal food sometimes. My body couldn't survive on gold flakes alone. But I never went a day without eating gold. To say it was an expensive addiction is an understatement. So you're probably thinking by now how lucky I was. I had completely turned my life around. I had a good job and lots of money, but I was still missing one thing. I didn't have anyone to share my life with. I really wanted to meet someone, but as I spent all my time working, I didn't really have a social life. I had basically given up on the idea of ever meeting someone when something happened to change all that. It was one of those random things that happened for no reason. You see, I always ate my lunch in my office because that way I could work whilst I ate. But one day I arrived at work, and when I got out of my car, it started raining really heavily. I ran to the office, and on the way, I slipped and my lunchbox fell out of my hand and the contents scattered all over the floor. No! Now I'll have to go to the cafeteria for lunch. I was so annoyed with myself. I hated wasting time when I could be working. So anyway, I went down to the cafeteria, and that's when I saw him. He was standing in the queue just in front of me. As I picked up a tray, he turned around and gave me a smile.
Hi, it's Julie, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I'm Darren. I work in accounts.
Oh, hi. Pleased to meet you.
Why don't you come and join me for lunch?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I will. I took my tray of food and went and sat at the table with Darren. We chatted, and he was so interesting to talk to and funny too. I couldn't believe it when I looked at my watch and realized I had spent an hour over lunch. I'm sorry. I have to go. I have so much work to do.
Okay, maybe we can get lunch together again tomorrow?
I was about to tell him that I didn't usually eat lunch in the cafeteria when something stopped me. Yes, that would be nice. So after that, I stopped taking my lunch from home. I spent every day having lunch with Darren and getting to know him. It wasn't long before I had fallen in love with him. But I wasn't sure if he felt the same way about me. Maybe he just wanted to be friends. But then, one day, we had finished our lunch, and I was about to go back to my office when he turned to me.
I was thinking, actually, I was wondering, how about we grab some dinner this evening?
Yes, that would be nice. Where do you want to go?
We could go to that fancy restaurant in town if you like.
Okay, I'll meet you there at 7 o'clock. I was so happy that he suggested we go there because I knew that I would be able to get my gold flakes there. I arrived at 7 o'clock and Darren was already there.
Julie, over here. I thought we could have a drink before we ordered food.
I sat down at the bar next to Darren. The waitress brought over the menu and I started looking through. Where is it? I can't see it. I scanned the menu, searching up and down each page, but it was nowhere to be seen. I called the waiter over. Excuse me, where's the steak dish with the gold flakes on?
Oh, I'm sorry. We took it off the menu because no one ever ordered it. Probably because it was too expensive.
Panic started building up inside of me until I felt like I was going to explode. What am I going to do? I didn't bring any gold flakes from my stock at home and I haven't had any all day. I started to hyperventilate. I could tell that Darren was beginning to get concerned about me.
What's wrong, Julie?
I couldn't answer him. My throat was all choked up and the words wouldn't come out. I just stood up and ran out of the restaurant. I just ran and ran. I didn't even think to call a cab or get a train home. All I had on my mind was to run home as fast as I could so that I could get to my gold flakes. My hand was shaking so much that I could hardly get my key into the keyhole. Finally, I managed to turn the lock and push the door open. I ran into the kitchen and grabbed my box of gold flakes. I began munching and munching on them. I didn't stop until they were all gone. When I finally swallowed the last one, a sudden feeling of nausea swept through my body. The next thing I knew, everything turned black, and I passed out. When I woke up, I didn't know where I was. I could hear sounds of machines beeping and people talking. I opened my eyes and looked around me. I'm in a hospital. How did I get here? Then I noticed Darren sitting on a chair on the other side of the room. When he realized that I was awake, he came over and stood beside my bed. How did I get here? What happened?
When you ran out of the restaurant without a word, I was worried about you. I decided to follow you home to make sure you were all right. When I got to your apartment, the door was wide open, and when I went inside, I found you passed out on your kitchen floor.
I felt so embarrassed that he had seen me like that. I didn't know what to say to him. I was just about to try to think up some excuse when the doctor came in.
I'm pleased to see you awake. You are a very lucky young woman. If this man hadn't brought you in here, I don't know what would have happened.
Don't say that. You're scaring me.
Well, you should be scared. What you have been doing to yourself is very dangerous. Your immune system is failing. You have to stop eating gold and start eating healthily, or you will kill yourself.
I was so shocked when I heard what the doctor said. I knew that I had probably been overdoing it a bit with the gold flakes, but I had no idea that I was harming myself. I'm not sure that I can stop. I really am addicted to gold.
Don't worry, Julie. I will help you. Together, we will get you through this.
I smiled at Darren gratefully. Thank you. You're such a good person, but I'm not sure I'm strong enough.
We will give you a plan to help wean yourself off the gold. If you take it slowly and eat plenty of fruit and vegetables, you will be able to do it.
So that's what I did. Every day I would eat less and less gold flakes. I started out by just reducing the amount I had every meal. Then I started eating one meal a day with no gold flakes at all. Finally, after about a month, I went a whole day without eating any gold flakes at all. I did it!
Oh, Julie, I'm so proud of you. I love you so much.
I couldn't have done it without you by my side. You are my rock.
I'm going to be by your side for the rest of your life if you want me.
I do want you. Darren suddenly looked at me very seriously. Then the next thing he did was put his hand into his pocket and take out a box.
I've been waiting for the right time to give you this.
Then he opened the box and got down on one knee.
Julie, will you marry me?
I gasped. Inside the box was the biggest diamond ring I had ever seen. Yes, I will marry you. I never ate any gold flakes ever again. Darren and I got married and we settled down to a normal life without any addictions. I realized that I had probably been so obsessed with eating gold because of my fear of going back to being homeless. Once Darren came into my life, I finally felt safe. I knew that with him by my side, everything would be all right.
As I pulled up to Moe's on Charlotte Boulevard, I still wasn't sure why my older sister Catherine wanted me to install microcams in my glasses. So far, my sister's notes had been correct. This, however, was just weird. I walked into the bar, ordered a drink, and sat in the corner waiting. After about 30 minutes, I decided it was time to leave. I stood up and walked to the door, but I stopped in my tracks when the manager made an announcement that changed my life. Hi, my name is Carson. Like and subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you will know when new stories are uploaded. Now, let's get back to my story. Catherine and I have always been close. Being the younger sibling, my sister was a role model to me, so it was no surprise that I wanted to go to the same college she did. After she graduated and I received my acceptance letter to the university, our parents were ecstatic. My sister was moving away to start an internship at her dream job, and as Dad packed her car, she knocked on my bedroom door.
Hey, Carson. Can I come in?
That depends. I raised my eyebrows. Do you have any snacks? Catherine tossed me a candy bar, walked into my room, and sat on my bed. In her hand was a pile of pages, held together by ribbon. So how can I help you? I bit into the candy bar.
I just wanted to give you my college notes. These notes really helped me, so I'm passing them on to you.
She handed me the notes and I inspected them suspiciously. So you couldn't use a notebook? I chuckled. Catherine laughed.
You know I'm not a neat freak like you are. Just trust me on this. These notes will help you. Have I ever steered you wrong?
Well, I scratched my head. Catherine threw a pillow at my head and laughed.
I'll miss you, Carson. Promise to message me every day, okay?
I nodded. Catherine and I shared a hug before Dad yelled up the stairs that if she didn't leave now, she would miss the plane. Catherine ruffled my hair, kissed my forehead, and left my room. Before I attended college, I sifted through Catherine's notes. It was quite ingenious. Catherine created cheat sheets for each professor on campus. Their likes, dislikes, allergies, hobbies, addresses. I should have thought about this in high school, I thought to myself as I read the notes. Once at college, I shared a room with a guy named Adam. We liked a lot of the same things and we got along pretty well. As I moved through the semester, guided by Catherine's notes, I was able to build strong relationships with my professors, and of course, keep a 3.8 grade point average. During my second year in college, I decided to try and get through on my own merit instead of using Catherine's guide. This, however, turned out to be a grave mistake, since 2 of my professors resorted to giving me D's on my last 2 assignments. I walked into my dorm room and slammed my bag on the desk.
Let me guess.
Adam looked up from his phone.
You got another D from Professor Damon, didn't you?
I thought I had that in the bag. I can't afford to get any more D's if I want to maintain my grade point average. I tried everything to get those 2 professors to like me, but it was all in vain. Adam shook his head.
Your problem is you've been trying to get the wrong people to like you. Professor Damon and Professor Jackson don't correct their papers, they're teaching assistants do. So they're the ones you should be targeting to get your grades up.
That night, while Adam was asleep, I pulled out Catherine's notes. Her notes warned that Professor Damon's teaching assistant, Miss Foster, and Professor Jackson's teaching assistant, Miss Phillips, were not easily swayed and were tough markers. The instructions to handle these 2 teaching assistants was to head to Charlotte Boulevard, wear glasses, and place microcams on it. That's where you met me at the Story, about to leave the bar when the manager made an announcement.
Now is the time you've all been waiting for. Let's welcome Candy and Jasmine.
The patrons at the bar hooted and screamed as Miss Foster and Miss Jackson walked out from the back in extremely short crop tops and shorts. If I didn't know they were teaching assistants at the college, I would never have guessed it. Without the tight buns and suits, they were gorgeous. I watched in amusement as Candy and Jasmine entertained the patrons by doing tricks while pouring drinks and getting the patrons involved. After about 30 minutes, when I thought I gathered enough leverage and footage for blackmail to get myself an A, I left. I know what you're thinking, that I'm a horrible person for even thinking about doing this. But trust me, in life sometimes, you need to embrace the opportunities as they come. The following week, I had assignments for both professors. After I handed the assignments in during class, I was able to corner both Miss Foster and Miss Jackson in the parking lot. "Hi, good afternoon, ladies." I nodded at the both of them.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bell. Can we help you with something?
Miss Foster looked me over. "I just wanted to let you know that I expect A's on both my papers this time."
You get straight A's if you put in the work.
Miss Jackson sounded amused. They began to walk away and I blocked their path. "No, you see, I have put in the work, but yet still I can't seem to hit that A."
You are Catherine Bell's brother, correct?
Miss Foster asked. "That I am."
Well, you deserve your D's.
Miss Jackson responded. She turned to Miss Foster.
Let's go.
As they walked away, I called after them. "Last Saturday, I went to Moe's on Charlotte Boulevard. Do you know the place?" They stopped and I smiled. They slowly turned around. "I knew you would see it my way." I pulled my phone out of my pocket and approached them. I played a part of the video before looking at them. "You both know what will happen if I don't see grades B+ and above on my remaining assignments." They both nodded. "Now that we have an understanding, have a beautiful afternoon, ladies." My life was perfect. My parents were proud that I was doing so well at college. I told them that Catherine helped me every step of the way. That Christmas, my parents bought me a new car. They reminded me to keep pushing forward and that hard work will always pay off. In the new year, in an attempt to preserve the tattered pages of Catherine's notes, I decided to get them bound into a book. There was a bookstore about 2 blocks from campus, so I decided to head there. "Hello," I called as I entered the empty store. An elderly man came from the back room.
Hi, what can I do for you?
"Hi, I have these notes from school that I'd like to bind." I handed him the notes.
Okay, sure. Which school do you attend?
After answering his question, I asked how long it would take to get it done.
The young man who helps me in the store stepped away for a few minutes. He'll be back shortly.
The gentleman looked through the notes. "I actually have a few errands. Can I come back in a few hours?"
Sure, no problem. It'll be ready by then.
I thanked the man and left the store. After completing my errands, I returned to the store. This time, the elderly man was behind the counter. "Hi, were you able to bind my notes?"
Sorry, kid. The young man had a family emergency and needed to leave.
"That's okay. I'll just take my notes back and I'll come back another day."
Sure, let me get them for you.
The man disappeared to the back. He returned a few minutes later with a solemn face.
I can't seem to find them.
My face turned pale. What do you mean you can't find them? You lost my notes?
There must be a logical reason.
Well, obviously notes don't just grow legs and walk away. I rubbed my temples in frustration. I should have never brought the notes in. Now I lost them. Catherine would be furious.
Let me call him and see if he placed it somewhere else.
I nodded in agreement. I watched as the man called, but he didn't say anything.
Sorry, he's not answering. It's going straight to voicemail. I'm so sorry. This never happened before.
The man thought for a bit.
I think you both go to the same college.
He rubbed his chin. Something clicked in my mind. If he went to the same college as I did, then he probably stole my notes when he realized what they were. Can I have the person's name? Maybe I'll see him on campus.
His name is Mateo Robinson.
I groaned inwardly. Mateo and I crossed a few paths in our first year. I didn't like the guy. He was rude and obnoxious to everyone he met. How was I supposed to get my notes back from him? I thanked the man and exited the store. As soon as I entered the dorm room, I fell onto my bed face first.
What's your problem?
Adam asked. I rolled over and proceeded to tell Adam everything. He sat and listened silently until I was finished.
So, you mean to say you've had cheat sheets this entire time?
Adam raised a brow. Bro, you're the smartest guy I know. You have a 4.0 average. You didn't need any cheat sheets. Adam stroked his chin.
While that may be true, you could have still told me. Am I not your friend?
Adam asked dramatically. I laughed. I need to come up with a plan to get back my notes from Mateo. Adam and I decided that Mateo probably had the notes at home since he didn't live on campus. We recruited Zoe, Adam's twin sister, into the plan. She said she would do it for a fee, but she didn't want to know anything else, just in case we were planning something illegal. An agreement was made and everything was set. Zoe's part of the plan was to get Mateo to ask her on a date. Once the date was confirmed, she had to let Adam and I know so we could search his apartment. After about 3 days, Adam got the confirmation call. Adam and I drove to Mateo's house, and as soon as Zoe told us they were together, Adam picked the lock and we began our search. This is useless, I whispered fiercely as I searched through the contents of Mateo's wardrobe. 15 minutes had already gone, and I didn't want to stay there much longer.
I found something.
Adam handed me a piece of paper from Mateo's desk. This is a resignation letter, I read, confused.
Check the date.
Adam pointed to the paper. This doesn't make any sense. If he resigned, then...
Then it means the old man lied to you, and he had the notes all along.
Early next morning, I confronted the elderly man. You lied to me. The man laughed. I want my notes back now.
I took a look at your notes. It appeared you had a nice thing going there, yet still, you kept it to yourself.
Just give me my notes.
I'm not giving you anything.
The man glared.
And if you have a problem, you can call the police. I'm sure you've blackmailed at least one teacher from these notes already.
My face turned red.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a store to run.
I walked out of the store feeling defeated. Monday morning, I saw a couple of students reading something, but I didn't pay much attention to it till Adam handed me a copy. What's this? I looked at Adam confused.
Read it,
he said impatiently. As I read through the document, I felt my chest tighten and my head become light. It was my sister's notes. The old man took my notes, copied it, and sold it to the students at the college. Catherine is going to kill me.
With great power comes great responsibility, bro.
I called Catherine and told her what happened. She explained that now that everyone has the cheat sheet, if overused, it could lead to investigations and her name being called. I promised her that I would keep things under control, and she had nothing to worry about. Over the next few weeks, in my free time, I took notes of the elderly man's movements. His name was Fred Miller. He had a wife, May, and he had been married to her for over 30 years. However, Mr. Miller enjoyed certain extracurricular activities that I was positive his wife wouldn't have approved of. Good afternoon, Mr. Miller. I walked into the store and greeted him. He looked across at me a bit shocked as he continued to deal with his customer. Will May be going to her book club tonight? I think she needs to stay off her foot for a bit longer, don't you? I watched as Mr. Miller excused himself from the customer and came over to me.
How do you know about my wife and her foot?
I have my ways. I smiled as I continued. Do you want me to drop you off at the Triple Palm Motel tonight to meet Linda, since your car is by the mechanic? Mr. Miller was about to respond, but decided against it. Now you will go to the back and get every single copy that you made, as well as the original copy. He nodded and walked to the back. He returned a few moments later with the documents. And if I see or hear that anyone has purchased a copy of this, I will send it to your wife and daughter, Henriette. Do I make myself clear?" Mr. Miller nodded. I smiled and exited the store. I invited every person who purchased a copy of the notes to a meeting. I was amazed at the number of students who turned up. Moving forward, we decided that everyone's name would go on a list, and the teacher would give us all nothing less than a B+. Instead of each person approaching certain teachers at different times, we made a pact to keep this a secret between us in order to protect ourselves. Needless to say, everything worked out well for the students and the college. The year I graduated, our college had the highest GPA in the country. That's the end of my story, but here's a final question I have for you viewers. If given the opportunity to get cheat notes on your teachers, would you use them? Comment your answers down below. Your answers down below. Your answers down below. Your answers down below. Your answers.